so instead of unpausing the video, I stopped it. So I didn't want to re-record it. So back to what I was saying. If you look at your bookmark, it'll help give you some ideas of what you might want to use. But just go to one of your articles and go, well, what do I think? What is one of the reasons? So one reason that I think is that media plays a really big part. So I'm going to look through one of my articles to find what color? You got it, yellow. All right, so I'm going to look at the first article just because it's the one I have in front of me. I have all my articles right here. So the document A, so there's an actual quote where the author, Seeger, says, "These very public attacks also give the killer the fame that eluded him in his failed life." So what I'm going to do is, that basic idea of that is that recognition is one of the reasons it keeps happening. So I'm going to put recognition at the top because that is my reasoning. Okay, so you can see recognition. Okay, and then in the next spot, I'm going to put the document letter. That's number 6 here. I know it's document A, so I'm going to put that in the upper right-hand corner, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to put the actual evidence I want to use. So I'm going to put these in quotation marks because right now I just want to write it down as a quote, and later I can decide whether or not I want to paraphrase or whatever. All right, so the actual quote is, "These very public." I know it's very exciting when we watching me write, right? "Very public attacks also give the killer," and then I'm going to fill in the rest later. Okay, just so that it's not you watching me this whole time. Okay, so then the next part is in the bottom left-hand corner. That's right here. I want to put the author. So I'm going to put the author, which is Seeger, Mike. Then in the middle, right here, I want to put the page number and the paragraph number I found this from. So by looking at my handout, it's on page 3, and it's the first paragraph. So I'm going to put page 3, paragraph 1. Now, if you notice, I didn't put a P next to it. I just have 3, which tells me it's page 3, and 1, which tells me it's paragraph 1. In the last part, the bottom right-hand corner, we're going to write what type of card it is, whether it is a quote, whether it is paraphrase, or whether it's a summary. And I'm going to go over those in a second. This is a direct quote, so I'm going to put a Q on the bottom. Okay, so this is what my note card looks like. The last thing I do is, at the top, I use my annotation tools to give myself an idea of what it is that I'm putting this under. So do you remember we said this was yellow? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a yellow stripe with my annotation tool across the top so that I always know that this note card is about media, regardless of where I place it. So at the end, what I have is a card that looks like this. So I have all of the information I need, and then I obviously have to finish my quote. And I don't have the bucket yet because I haven't bucketed yet because I haven't decided what bucket I want to put that in yet. So I have to leave that piece of information alone. Okay, so that's how you fill out a note card. And then let's talk about quotation summary versus paraphrase. A quotation is direct quotation. So it means you're taking it word for word out of an article. And usually you want to keep this right at around maybe max 3 sentences. You can do more than that, but then you have to format it a different way in the essay. And I can show you that. That's fine. So on the second part of the same handout, what you're going to see is like why, it explains why it's a quote and why you would want to use it. And then it gives you an example. So remember, when we are using in-text citations, what we have to do is we always have to include the author's last name, page number, and the paragraph it came from. we always put it at the end in parentheses, and then any of our end marks or punctuation marks go on the outside. It's the last thing that we want to see. The only exception is if there is a title of something and it's a question mark or an exclamation mark. If it's one of those things, then we leave it where it is inside the quotes, and then we put the period, there's no period, okay? So that's the only time there's an exception to that rule. Now, you would use a quote when you want to directly state something that someone said, but you also want a lead-in to it. So you want something like, according to Seeger, which is why on this note card, I have my author. So when I go to put this in my research paper, I have the author right in front of me. So I have my lead-in. The next thing is a paraphrase. So a paraphrase is what you do when you want to take a section of an article or a paper or a book or whatever, and you want to go, okay, this is the basic idea here. You could use some of the author's words. You can use many of them as long as you're not directly quoting it. But you're going to take the basic idea and you're going to distill it down into what it is so people don't have to read the whole chunk. And you're basically going to say, this is what the author is saying. But you still have to give them credit because it's not your idea. That's stealing. So you have to paraphrase it. So you still need a lead-in. So you can say according to the author, or in the case that I have here, I have in the article, blah, 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 because you can do that too. So usually I don't do in the article whatever it is, unless it's a short title, because otherwise it's really long. But, you do you. So in this example, I have in the article, our school's discipline policies linked to the shootings. And then I have the basic idea of what he's saying in there. Again, author, parentheses, right? Author's last name, page number, paragraph, or parentheses, and then the period on the outside. Okay. Most of you are going to use quotations and paraphrase because there's really not a lot of reason to use a summary in a research paper like this. In a larger, longer research paper, more comprehensive, we would want definitely use summaries. But summary is basically taking the whole article or like a whole section of an article and going, okay, here's basically what it says, and this is the reason that I'm using this is because it supports this idea. Okay, so it's using the more general idea of the whole article, and you can see how I would annotate that or use in-text citations on there. Okay, before we even write our in-text citations, we have to write our note cards. But the reason I had to go over in-text citations briefly with you is because you need to know whether it's a quote, paraphrase, or summary. Most of you are going to use a Q or P, which is why that has a Q or P right there. So that tells me everything I need to know on my note card. You will need to have a total of 30 note cards on Monday. And then for my A classes, you'll need 30 note cards by Tuesday. So that's 10 a night, and I know that's a lot, but it really isn't because you're looking through your information that you have. You've already highlighted it, which is why I made you do that stuff. And you're just finding stuff that supports the question, why school shootings and what's being done about it? Okay, so you're answering that question and coming up with notes. You look through all of the articles you have, and you do have a couple of articles you still have to read. So I know that we don't have all the articles done, but I want you to get started on note cards. Okay, you need a big 3-0 for Monday/Tuesday. And the reason we need those is because we've got to get to the next step, and then we need to get to outlining, so we can get to writing, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so doing note cards, 30 total of these bad boys. You're supposed to do 10 for the next time I see you. So for my B students right now, I will see you on, you're supposed to do 10 for tomorrow, 20 for Monday, and then third, what do I have it written down as? Let's see on the calendar what it is. Because now I'm messing myself up. Let's see, where's the calendar? Doopity 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 doo. I'm gonna pause you for a second. Okay, so this is the calendar. So we finished Wednesday, so I'm gonna go ahead and cross that off. All right, so now we're on to Thursday. So you're my B class. So your note cards are due, 20 are due Monday, my bad, and then 30 are due Tuesday. So regardless of whether or not we meet in class, you have to have those done, because then next Thursday, after our academic intervention, we're going to sort the note cards. So then we can start into our outlining. Okay, so follow this because this is actually going to tell you what is due when. Okay, so get started on your note cards. Have fun. I'm here if you have questions.